Ever since I was in my late teens and had my first car, I've enjoyed getting up from now and again, first thing in the morning when it's really early, to just enjoy the peace and the quiet of having the feeling that there aren't many people around. So on days when I go hiking, it's nice, particularly in the summer, to get out as early as I can be bothered at the weekend and to jump into the car and head for the mountains. This time I headed for this small hamlet called Isenflew in the Lauterbrunnen Valley. It's not one of the heavily visited locations there because it's quite a narrow road to get up to it, which actually winds up through a tunnel in the mountains. Once you get up there, then there's the tiniest of little cable cars, a little road cable car, which takes I think something like 8 people in one go. But it's really nice to kind of get away from the crowds and know that you're going to somewhere where, although there will certainly be other people around going hiking, you're not going to be swamped by loads and loads of tourists and having lots of commercial stuff, you know, restaurants and shops and all that kind of stuff, that kind of thing stuck in your face. So the first step on this hike is from Isenflew to going up to the Solwald, the Sul forest, which is gives you great views down to the Lauterbrunnen Valley and almost all the way to Grindelwald down that valley in front of you that you can see there. And from there, that's where the hike then takes you through the village, the upper part of the village, and then on into the woods and onto the more difficult part of the hike. So the easy bit of the walk is out of the way. The cable car from Isenflew up to Solwald, which is just a couple of minutes on the little red cable car. And then from there a short stroll through the village, and then it's on to the difficult part of the path, which is quite steep, it coming up through the woods. There's lots of stepping to be done up onto rocks and up onto logs which have been laid across the path to keep it in good condition. But it's totally worth it. I don't know how far I'm going to get today, but even just this bit going through the woods, which, yeah, it's making me huff and puff a bit, but it's beautiful. Now all of the other people that were in the cable car with me have gone off in their different directions. Some of them have gone steaming on ahead and some of them have gone onto a different path. It's just so nice and peaceful and quiet. Hear the occasional bird. That's about it for now. One of the most important lessons I've learned in the past 10 years or so with hiking is that there's no hurry. You may see lots of sportier people or younger people or whatever going sprinting off ahead of you wearing Converse or flip-flops or whatever. You'd be surprised. There's no hurry. The whole point of doing this is to enjoy it and to take a relaxing time and make sure you leave early enough in the morning so that you're not rushing back down again when you've done your hike to get back down to the last cable car. It's also important to have snacks with you, bits of food, sandwich, whatever, because there's not always a nice mountain restaurant at the top of these places. So which is why I usually buy this, which as you can see is called Studentenfutter, student food, which is nuts and raisins and whatever, sometimes mixing some M&Ms with them, and stopping every 20 minutes, half an hour or so, probably every half an hour, having a handful, a small handful of them, just gives you that little bit of extra sugar, a little bit of an extra push to and energy to get on up the mountain. And if you're really lucky, then you get to enjoy a lovely view like this one while you're having your break. When you come up into the mountains sometimes hiking like this, there are plenty of other people about. And some of them aren't taking pictures. So after about an hour and a quarter's walking up the steep bit, finally you get to an area of pasture, which is a blessed relief, which is where I just filmed the guy with the Alphorn. And a little bit, just another couple of minutes further up from that, 5 minutes maybe, you get to the Alp Sulz, where there's this very pretty little hut. I think people live there by the looks of it, because they've got washing hanging out, but you can buy cheese and bread and whatever else you want there. It's not a shop by any means. And from here, the path that I'm taking is going on up there. That's going up towards the Lobhörner, which according to the sign is about an hour and 10 minutes from here. I think I'll probably have longer than that for taking photos, but I can't imagine it's going to take much more than another hour and a half from here. You know what, when you see people who do these video channels, you get to see the good bits, you get to see the wonderful views and the drone shots and the photographs and the cows clinking their bells. But what you don't see is the bloody hard slog up some of the hills. We'll see how it goes. As you can see up there, there are clouds starting to cover the view, so I'm just hoping that when I get up to the ridge in, call it 10 minutes I guess, that there will be actually a view to take a picture of, because that would suck if there weren't. So fingers crossed. The Lobhörner is a very distinctive set of rocks and mountain, which you can see from pretty much everywhere you go in this region, in the Bernese Oberland in Switzerland. It sticks up like a foot. It's kind of like toes sticking up out of the mountain. and I've been looking at it from very far away for many years. And when I first had the thought about walking up here, I never actually thought I would get all the way here. My intention was originally to get to the ridge and then take a photo from there, which is kind of what happened in the last one of the last videos that I did when I went up to the Chingalachty corner. That was actually the best shot. That was kind of the view that I went for. The view that I've come for here is to actually show the unique shape of the rock, which I've now found you can't see from that ridge. So when I got there, I stopped and I had a break and I had something to eat, regained a little bit of energy, and decided, you know what, I'm going to push on and get all the way to the top. And I'm not at the top of the rock, because that's another few hundred meters of climbing straight up a sheer cliff face, which is not my thing at all. But I am now sitting, as you can see, at the bottom of the cliffs. I think it's about 1,000 meter hike, 1,000 feet ascent, sorry, not 1,000 feet, 1,000 meter ascent, which is the biggest hike that I've done. And I've got to walk all the way down again, which is fine because that's not so bad going. It's quite amazing to me that I can do this, that I can make it all the way up here. I mean, I'm not fit. I sit in the office all week. I don't really train for it that much. I do try and get out when I can, and I do take it really slow. I'm much slower than probably most other people. But time and time again, the effort proves to me that it's worth doing it. It's worth trying and worth pushing yourself and being careful in the mountains to know what your limits are and not just pushing on just for the sake of it, but pushing yourself, just getting there. I hope you enjoy the photos, because I know that I'm going to enjoy looking at them, and every time I look at this mountain from now on, in the distance, from the Schilthorn, or from the motorway when I'm driving home even, right in the distance, I know that I'm going to I've sat at the base of these cliffs and made it.